Hello, friends. Today we'll be reading Franklin's Music Lessons. Franklin can tie his shoe. Franklin can count by twos. But Franklin can't play the piano. Franklin wants to play the piano. He just doesn't want to practice. This is a problem. On Monday, Mr. Owl said, "Today we will not have math." "Hooray," said the class. "Today Mrs. Panda will teach us music." Mrs. Panda sat at the piano. She played "Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat." Everyone clapped. "This time," said Mrs. Panda, "you will count 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over when I play." "Is this math?" asked Franklin. "No," said Mrs. Panda. "This is how we count to the beat." Mrs. Panda played. The class counted. Mrs. Panda opened a big box. She gave everyone an instrument. She gave out instruments to toot, instruments to cling. She gave out instruments to bang and instruments to shake. She gave Franklin a bell to ring. "Now everyone can play to the beat," said Mrs. Panda. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who wants to show us how?" Franklin put up his hand. Ring, ring, ring went Franklin. Everyone clapped. Mrs. Panda played "Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat." The class played their instruments. Toot, 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 toot. Cling, 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 cling. Bang, 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 bang. Shake, 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 shake. Ring, 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 ring. The music lesson was over. "Good work," said Mrs. Panda. "I will be back next week." "Hooray," said the class. "Please keep your instruments," said Mrs. Panda, "and play them every day. Practice makes perfect." Beaver gave her instrument back to Mrs. Panda. "I don't need it," said Beaver. "I'm taking piano lessons. Next week, I will play 'Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat' on the piano." "Very good, Beaver," said Mrs. Panda. Said Franklin. Franklin ran home from school. "I want to take piano lessons," he told his mother. "Good for you," she said. "Granny can teach you." Franklin smiled. "Piano lessons will be lots of fun," he said. Franklin walked to Granny's house. He met Beaver on the way. "I just finished my piano lessons," said Beaver. "You take lessons with my granny?" asked Franklin. "I've been taking lessons for ages," said Beaver. "Today is my first lesson," said Franklin. "I want to play 'Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat' too." "Remember," said Beaver, "practice makes perfect." Franklin sat at the piano. Granny showed him how to play a scale. "Can I play 'Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat'?" he asked. "First, you have to play the scale," said Granny. Franklin played. "Now again," said Granny. Franklin played the scale again and again. "Very good," said Granny. "Come back tomorrow." Franklin went back the next day. He played the same scale again and again and again. "Practice makes perfect," said Granny. "Can I play 'Roll, Roll, Roll Your Boat' now?" Franklin asked. "Not yet," said Granny. Franklin frowned. Piano lessons were not lots of fun, he thought. On Wednesday, Franklin had a baseball practice. On Thursday, he had a baseball game. On Friday, he had another baseball practice. On Saturday, he had another baseball game. And on Sunday, Franklin played baseball with his friends just for fun. Franklin did not play the piano on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. On Monday, Mrs. Panda asked Beaver to play row, row, row your boat? Maybe Franklin would like to go first, said Beaver. No, said Franklin, I cannot play row, row, row your boat. I did not practice. Beaver smiled. I practice every day this week, she said. Beaver played the piano. Everyone else played their instruments. Toot, 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 toot. Cling, 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 cling. Bang, 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 bang. Shake, 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 shake. Ring, 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 ring. Franklin's arm was so strong from playing baseball that no one could hear anyone else. You are the best bell ringer I've ever heard, said Mrs. Panda. Thank you, said Franklin. Baseball practice makes perfect. Friends, whatever you do, no matter if it's sports, no matter if it's music, practice makes perfect, and even more, practice makes you better. Always think smart and read. Hello, friends. Today we'll be reading Franklin and the Tooth Fairy. Remember, subscribe. Franklin could count by twos and tie his shoe. He had a lot of good friends and one best friend named Bear. Franklin and Bear were the same age. They lived in the same neighborhood. They liked the same games, but one morning Franklin discovered a way that he and Bear were different. Waiting for the school bus, Bear put his paw in his mouth and wiggled a tooth back and forth. It jiggled and wiggled, and then, with a tug, it came out. Look at this, said Bear. I lost my first tooth. Franklin was startled. There was even a little blood on the tooth. That's terrible. How are you going to tell your mother? Bear laughed. My teeth are supposed to fall out, said Bear. It makes room for my grown-up teeth. Franklin ran his tongue around his gums. They were smooth and firm and completely toothless. I don't have any teeth, said Franklin. It was Bear's turn to be surprised. Franklin's friends shook their heads sadly. Too bad, they said. Franklin wondered why. He had never needed teeth before. Bear wrapped his tooth in a bit of tissue and put it in his backpack. I need to keep this safe, he said. All the way to school, Franklin wondered why Bear wanted to keep his old tooth, especially if he was going to get a brand new grown-up tooth. Now that was exciting. Why do you want to keep your tooth? Asked Franklin. Won't you get a big one soon? All his friends looked at him with amazement. Don't you know about the Tooth Fairy? Asked Fox. Franklin shook his head. At night, before you go to bed, you put your baby tooth under your pillow. Then the Tooth Fairy comes and takes the tooth away, explained Fox. But that's stealing, said Franklin. Besides, what does the Tooth Fairy do with all those teeth? There was a long pause. Bear scratched his head. Fox switched his tail, and Rabbit twitched. I don't know, said Bear, but she always leaves something behind. One of her own teeth? Asked Franklin. Everybody laughed. Oh, Franklin, said Fox, the Tooth Fairy leaves a present. Franklin wondered what kind of present a Tooth Fairy would leave. I hope I get money, said Bear. When I lost my first tooth, I got a new book, said Raccoon. I got crayons, Fox said. Franklin rubbed his gums. He wished he had a tooth to leave for the Tooth Fairy. He wanted a present too. Bear showed his tooth to Mr. Owl as soon as he got to school. Mr. Owl was very excited. Losing your baby teeth means you are growing up, he said. Franklin didn't say anything. He had no teeth, but he wanted to feel grown up too. Franklin was quiet for the rest of the day. Even at home, Franklin was quieter than usual. "What's wrong?" asked Franklin's mother. "I don't have any teeth," he answered. "Neither do we," said his father. "That's the way turtles are." "But I want teeth," said Franklin. His parents looked surprised. "My friends get presents from the tooth fairy when they lose their teeth," said Franklin. "Why do they get presents for old teeth?" asked Franklin's father. "Because it means they are growing up," said Franklin. "I see," said his father. That night, just before bed, Franklin had a good idea. Perhaps tooth fairies did not know that turtles had no teeth. He found a tiny white rock to put under his shell. He asked his mother to help him write a note. It read, "Dear Tooth Fairy, this is a turtle tooth. You may not have seen one before. Please leave a present. Franklin." Franklin woke up very early the next morning. He looked under his shell. The rock was gone, but there was a note instead of a present. He ran to his parents' room. "Why does it say," he asked. Franklin's father put on his reading glasses. "Dear Franklin, sorry, turtles don't have teeth. Good try. Your friend, the Tooth Fairy." Franklin was very unhappy until he noticed a big wrap package near his breakfast bowl. "Open it," said Franklin's mother. Inside was a beautiful book. "Who is it from?" asked Franklin. "From us," said his parents, "to celebrate your growing up." Franklin stood very tall. "Thank you." From then on, Franklin didn't worry about being different from Bear. He knew that in all the important ways, he and Bear were exactly the same. Friends, always remember, being different does not mean you're not important. Friends don't let friends fail. So always remember, you are special. And always remember, think smart and reading is fundamental. Hello, friends. Today we'll be reading Finders Keepers for Franklin. Make sure you subscribe. Franklin can count by twos and tie his shoe. He was good at seeing things that others missed. Once, Franklin found a lucky 4-leaf clover. Another time, he found the key his mother had lost. But one day, Franklin found something special. Franklin was walking to the park when he spotted a flash of blue. Something was lying by the side of the path. "Oh," said Franklin, picking it up, "a camera." He had never found anything quite so wonderful before. Franklin looked through the viewfinder. He imagined he was a photographer, just like Grandma, who took last summer's pictures. "Say cheese," he said. Franklin pretended to click the clicker. Then he noticed that somebody had already taken one picture. As soon as Franklin got to the park, he showed the camera to his friends. "Wow," said Moose. "Is that yours?" "Not exactly," said Franklin. "I found it." Beaver shrugged. "Finders keepers," she said. "Well, I looked, but there's no name on the camera," said Franklin. "Then it's yours," insisted Beaver. "It's not like stealing," said Moose. "You found it." Still, Franklin knew he wasn't allowed to keep things that didn't belong to him. He decided to find the owner later. Just then, Beaver made a funny face. "That's good," said Franklin. He snapped a picture. Me too, cried Moose and Rabbit. Before he knew it, Franklin had used the rest of the film. Franklin took the film out of the camera and put it in his marble bag. "I'll have to get more film," he said. "Are you keeping the camera?" asked Moose. Franklin looked surprised. "Whoops, I almost forgot that it isn't mine," said Franklin. "I'd better find out who lost it. Maybe the owner will be mad because you used the camera," Beaver said. Franklin gulped. "I didn't think of that." Now Franklin wasn't sure what to do. He didn't like it when someone was angry with him. Franklin thought for a while. After his friends left, he put the camera back where he found it. "That's better," he sighed. "Now nobody will be mad at me." Franklin went home and ate a nice supper. After supper, Franklin's father wanted to play marbles. When Franklin opened his marble bag, the film rolled out. "What's that?" asked Franklin's father. Franklin said. His father waited patiently. Finally, Franklin blurted out the whole story. Finding the camera, using it, and then putting the camera back. "So you used something that didn't belong to you?" asked his father. "Not on purpose," answered Franklin. "It just sort of happened." "What do you think should happen now?" said his father. Franklin thought and thought. "Maybe we could get the camera and try to find the owner," he said finally. So Franklin and his father got the camera, made signs, and posted them in the park. They waited a week, but nobody claimed the camera. Then they went to the police station and told the officers that they'd found a camera. Still, nobody claimed it. Franklin took the film to be developed. He bought a new roll of film with his allowance and popped it into the camera. The next day, the pictures were ready. Franklin held up a photo of Raccoon's family. "I know who owns the camera," he shouted. "Raccoon must have taken a picture just before he lost the camera. And he's been away, so he didn't see our signs." Franklin returned the camera to Raccoon and apologized for using his film. Raccoon wasn't mad at all. He was so happy to have his camera back that he shared his snack with Franklin. "Cheese," said Franklin, smiling, and Raccoon snapped a picture. The end. Friends, sometimes we find things that are owned by others. We should make sure we get them back to their owners. But if the owner doesn't claim them, it's rightfully yours. Friends, always remember, reading is fundamental, so think smart and read.